Hello viewers, welcome to our channel, and today we are going to continue with our series of Excel fundamentals. And today let's continue here by looking at the blank Excel file. Right up here, as you're seeing, we are in book 1. That's as you are seeing, book 1 Excel. So we are looking at a blank Excel file, and you want to see here that we are in the home section of the ribbon. We spoke about the ribbon in our previous video, and we said the ribbon takes the whole item here, the whole of this, whatever you're seeing from this end. As you can see, we've discussed that the ribbon is this Excel sheet that you are. Let me just do a cropping. The whole of this is what we call the ribbon, and we saw that in our previous videos. So if you don't know what a ribbon is, you can actually go to our previous videos and you'll be able to see actually what a ribbon is, but that's an illustration of what a ribbon is. So as you are seeing, we are in the home section. This is the home section. This is file. When you come up here, we have the file, we have the insert, and we have the home. So these are the sections that we are talking about. So by default, we are in the home section. So the home section of the ribbon, that's how it looks like. We've not collapsed the pen. We shall see how we can actually freeze the pens, but here we've not done so. So we want to look at the home section of the ribbon. So keep in mind, this is where Microsoft places most of the common functions within the software that people are going to access frequently. So this is the section that Excel software or Microsoft, the owner of Excel, puts all the most common functions that we are going to access most of the times. Now, if you wanted to go up to the home section of the ribbon, we could tap the Alt key. So if you don't want to use the mouse to go to your home section of the ribbon, what do? What we do, we tap the Alt key on our keyboard. Remember, we said we are going to use a PC. So for those who are using a MacBook or who are using Mac computers, for you, you could tap the Options key. The Options key is equivalent to the Alt key for those that are using the PC computers. So if you tap the Alt key, that's our Alt key. As you can see, as soon as we tap the Alt key, we get all these letters that appear up here. You are seeing all these letters that have appeared up here. So those letters, they come as soon as we tap the Alt key. So if we want to go into the home section of the ribbon, we could now tap the H. When we tap the H, then we can finally see that it has brought new letters. We are seeing new letters appearing again. So these new letters, they will allow us to walk into the ribbon, the home section of the ribbon. So that's the shortcut that will help us to walk into the ribbon in Excel by using the keyboard. So if you're using the keyboard, that's how we are going to be able to tour the ribbon by tapping the Alt key, and you'll be tapping the next letters that will be appearing on your screen. So what we are gonna do for now, let's just take tour, because now we want to look at what are some of the things that are within the home section of the ribbon. So we just want to take, I just want you to take tour and see what is going to be within the home section of the ribbon. So we can now tap the escape key. We can tap the escape key a couple of more times just to get back and remove these letters that we are seeing. That's, we've removed the first letters. The second time we press the escape key, we remove the second letters or the first letters that we saw. So now we are seeing that we are back to our home screen, or we are back to our ribbon, but we are within the home section because we've removed those letters that we had got earlier. So we will definitely be using the keyboard, because I told you we are going to be focusing on using the keyboard in this course than using the mouse. That's why I'm giving you all the options that we can actually have to access a certain item. So you have to understand that we are going to be using the keyboard a little bit more in this course. But for now, let's just understand that we can tap the Alt key or the option key, and then hit the H to get into our home section of the ribbon. So the first part of the home section of the ribbon is right here. The first part of the home section of the ribbon is right up here. We can now take a bit of a screenshot. We see the first part that we are talking about. This is the first part. That is the first part, which is the clipboard. That's the clipboard section. That's the clipboard section. And if you click on this little down arrow that you are seeing here, if you click on it, it will show you, it will display all the things that are within the clipboard. So when you click that down arrow, we are going to expand our clipboard. After expanding our clipboard, we can now see that we don't have much in there just yet, because in this section we find, it's where we find everything that we would be storing if at all we are copying and pasting certain things. So that's where we go if at all we want to see the things that we were copying and we were pasting when we are doing our work. But just because we haven't done any copying and pasting, that's why you're seeing this, the whole of this place is blank. So we can cancel that for now, can close that clipboard, but that's the first area of the home section of the ribbon, and we called it a clipboard. Now before we continue our tour, let's zoom in a little bit. We can try to zoom in a little bit, but remember I told you the other shortcut for zooming in and out. We said it was Control plus Alt, then equal sign. That's for zooming out. Control plus Alt, then we press the equal sign, and that will allow you to zoom into a very high level, a very high zoom level. That's why we are saying we can be able to zoom out to, that is the maximum 400%. You are seeing the percentage sign up here. Whenever we zoom in, we are seeing the percentages keep on increasing from the default one, which is 100 to 400%. So that's our shortcut for zooming out. Then if you want to zoom in, you also press Ctrl plus Alt. Then we go to the minus symbol. That's why you're seeing we are back to the default. But for now, we want to zoom out a little bit to increase our zoom levels so that we can actually be able to see some of those things very clearly. So what we are going to do, we can now just drop that for the moment, because we've seen wanted to actually have some of those things that we can actually be able to see. And if you could also do this, in this we can actually just type in, or we can drop in something there. We can drop in something, let's say in this cell B2, we can try to type in something, let's say KC, let me just say KC accounting, KC accounting, KC accountancy education center. I'm just typing in something small. It's not small, but it will give us, it will show us what we want to actually achieve here. So we've typed in that as KC accounting education center in our cell B3, B2. So, but for now, we've removed our cursor from that cell B2 to B3. So if we want to make any adjustment to that cell B2 or to that letter that we've typed in, if you want to change anything, maybe we can try to change any of those things that we have actually typed in that format. We can try maybe to zoom in a little bit so that you can be able to see those words clearly. So if you want to change anything, make sure that your cursor, this is our cursor, is within that very cell that we want to change. So it is within the cell B2. So we can go up to this section of the font section. We can go within the home section, but we'll go to the font. This is the font section. We can maybe try take a look. The font section is something that you are seeing. This is the section for font. That's the font section. So it's where we want to go. If we want to maybe to go into that font section, we can just click on this drop down arrow that we are seeing here. But we do that when we have actually put our cursor in that cell that we want to make changes to. So if we click that down arrow, it will give us this dialog box that we are saying. And that dialog box, it's for formatting cells. So now the other way you can actually get into that dialog box is, because we have another way. That's one of the way that we can actually have that dialog box for now. But we have another way of how you can get into that same dialog box that you are seeing, the format cells. But this time around we are going to be using our keyboard. So we cancel this for now. Let's just cancel that for now. And now we can go ahead and click Control. The keyboard shortcut for us to get into that format cells is Control plus 1. Control plus 1. So when you click on that Control plus 1, it will give you that same dialog box. And for those that are using Mac, remember this shortcut is for those that are going to be using a PC. But for those that are going to be using MacBook or Mac computers, you make sure you click on Command 1. meaning you click command plus 1, let number 1. So when you click command plus 1, for those that are using Mac computers, it will also bring you to the same dialog box. So we can now click the escape key to back out. In other words, to go back to remove this dialog box. So we've removed. We've just seen how we can actually go into that format cell when using the mouse and at the same time when using the keyboard. Now, it's not a bad idea for you to actually practice that shortcut a little bit more, the control plus 1 or the command 1 on a MacBook. It's that shortcut that will help you get into that dialog box that we've just seen. So here we can control the type of font. When you click control 1, when you click that control 1, it will take you to that. We can actually control the type of font. It's whether it's going to be regular. These are the font styles. Whether it's going to be regular, whether it's going to be bold, whether it's going to be italic or anything. So that's where we go if at all we want to actually change some of the things. We can actually change the font size. The font size are this side. We can also change the font size without using the mouse. So the other thing is we can actually change the alignment. So we can change the font size here. The next thing that we can do, or the other attributes as well, like whether they are going to be underlining, whether we are going to have the color. There are so many things that we can actually change from that font section. So we can just hit the escape key for now, just to get back to where we were. So those are some of the things that we have actually looked at in the font section. Now, the other thing that we can do up here in the font section is that we could click right here with our mouse in order to change our font color. We can actually try to change some of those things. Maybe we can try to reduce these words. We put something that can actually fit in the box. Let me just put CPA. At least for that one, it can actually, you can come here. The other thing that we can do, we can come and try to change the color. We can try to change to any color that we want. That is the font color. So that's where we go if at all we want to do a fill color. So that fill color is only going to change if at all you make your cursor to be in that respective cell that you want to actually change the font color. So that's how we've been able to change these colors. You can change to any, you can be playing around with those fill color to see which one you can actually select. So we can see that if at all we try to move around with our mouse, we can actually see, because now here we are using our mouse to move through those different options, the fill color that we have. And we can see that every time we try to hover over these different palettes of colors, we can see that things are actually changing in that within that very cell. So we can now try to type the escape key to back out for a second, and we could also go up here and click on the changing the font color. So if you don't want that color in, we can come here and say no color. But the other thing we can also do is changing the font color. The font color is actually changing the color of the words. If they have been in black, we can change them to any font color that we want. The other one is a fill color. This one is a font color. In other words, here we are changing the letters themselves, but the fill color, we are changing the background, or we are changing the cell. So hope you can be able to get the difference. So, and again, as you can see, when we are hovering around these different colors, we can see that different font colors are changing for that same word that we typed. So that's it that we are talking about. Hope that one is okay. So that's what we've seen from that perspective. Oh, that's the other thing that we can change. So we can now look at the other thing that we can see within that same section or within that same area, and that thing is quite common to access, and those are the border options. The border options, they are within this same font section. You can find the border options right up here where we are pointing on this drop down arrow. If you click on this drop down arrow, you can actually see, we can see lots of different options for various types of borders in terms of their position and also their thickness. We can actually see the types, and we can also see their thickness right up here. So that's the other option. Now moving across to this next section here, which is the alignment. So we can tap now the escape key to get to back out from that. So let's try to move to the next section here, and that section is what we call the alignment section. We can try to get a screenshot of that, and that alignment section is right up here. That's the alignment section. If you want, you can actually paste it here. That's the alignment section. That's what we are talking about. So we can actually see that alignment section, the most common thing that we will be doing is probably changing the horizontal alignment. Let's first delete this. The most common thing that we are going to be doing here is changing the horizontal alignment. For instance, we are now left aligned. We are saying the word CPA is left aligned from this point. We are seeing it is on our left hand side. In other words, it is very close to this line. It is left aligned. So if we click in this center here, we shall see that the word is going to be moving to the center. You are seeing the word CPA moves to the center of that cell B2. So it will make it center aligned. And the other thing we can also look at is right aligned. We can also push it to our right hand side, and that's what we call the right aligned, for example. So the other thing we can maybe try to undo, and we leave it at where it was, left aligned. The other thing that we could do after going back, we've gone back to our left alignment, and we could now just go down here to this bottom right corner, this one. That bottom right corner, we are saying that if we click on that drop down arrow, it will open up. It opens up and we can get more detailed options. For instance, we can even change the alignment of these texts. The alignment from, sorry, we can actually change the orientation from this point. The orientation of those words you are seeing. So when I press OK, you'll find that the thing is going to be left aligned. So you are seeing the words are changing. The words keep on changing. If I put there and I press OK, it's going to look that way. So we've got it from this down arrow that we had. So we take it back. So that dialog box that we are seeing, we can actually make those texts to be maybe like vertical, or they could be horizontal like the way they are. We could change them to any form that we actually want by adjusting the orientation, for example, to say 90%, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, and so on, as we've seen. So let's just ignore that orientation, and maybe we can see some other things that we can actually find. We have the numbers, there are so many things that we actually have, but we are going to look at few things as we go through the home section of the ribbon. So we can cancel this for now. So we've canceled that dialog box, and now we are out of that dialog box. Now, before we go over to this number section, because before we go to this number section, because it's the next one after the alignment. Before we go to this number section, maybe we take a look at the number section. We can take a screenshot of the number section, and we know what we are talking about. This is the section that we are calling our number section. We can paste it here. That is the number section that we are talking about. But before we go to this section, let's first move our cursor and we put in some numbers. Let's put in a number, let's say in cell B3. Let's put in a number. Let's say we put a number, let's say 90,000. Let's just use that number as 90,000. So when you put in that 90,000 and we hit enter, we shall see that we are having our figure in that cell B3. So now we could go into this cell and we get up to this number section, because now we said if you want to change anything, make sure that you are within that cell that you want to actually change. So if I go into this number section here, that B3 that has 90,000, and I go up here on this section for numbers. So if I click on this down arrow up here at the bottom right corner, there is that down arrow. If we click on that, it will bring us that dialog box. And what we could do is we could now change the format for that number. Which number we're going to be changing the format? We are going to be changing that 90,000 that we've put in that cell B3, for example. We could also put it into a currency. We could put it in, we have the number, we can change, maybe we put in a separator, we put in a decimal. And the other thing, we can also go to, we put in a currency, just like the way you're seeing UJEX. In other words, Uganda shillings, 90,000, but we already put in a separator. We can actually come here and change the symbol, maybe to $1, maybe to any amount that we can actually, that we are working on. If at all you've been working in dollars, you can actually leave it in dollars. So that's how we can actually do that in that very down arrow. If maybe want to put maybe some, perhaps maybe we could have some negative numbers in that Excel sheet, we can actually say that let's put those negative numbers in brackets, or we just put brackets around those negative numbers. So we can actually come to those numbers and we say we want to put brackets to them. So there are so many things that we can actually change from here. If you want to put a percentage sign, if you want to put anything that you want to do from that, we can actually change those from that point. So that's how we change the number formatting. If you press enter, you'll find that these figures have actually changed. We just put in 90,000 without putting in a separator, but now we can see we have a separator and we have a currency figure. And that's how we change, or that's how we change the number format there. So now if you want to change the number format using the keyboard, because remember we've been using our mouse, but we said within this course we are going to be focusing more on the use of the keyboard than the use of the mouse, as we gave the reasons as to why we prefer it that way. So we would actually go to our shortcut that we saw earlier, and that is Ctrl+1. When you do that, it is taking you to that format cell, and it is within that format cell that we have the number format. And for those that are using MacBook, we said we click Command+1 to get into that dialog box. So that is the shortcut that we actually use to go into that dialog box, and it is the same shortcut we used before. And now what we could do is use the tab key, because now we don't want to use the mouse to move around within these different categories that we are having there. So what are we going to do? We are going to use the tab key. For those that who are not seeing the tab key, it's on your left hand side. It is the button that is up on caps lock, the one that puts in capital letters. That is the tab key. So we click that tab key. So when you are seeing that you have clicked the tab key to get into down to the different things that we have, you are seeing we are navigating through those different options that we are having. So we are within that format, and we are changing the number formatting. So in fact we can even go to the bottom here and change. We do the custom, that is the custom format that we can actually have. That is the custom section. We can do a custom format in this type box. This is where we do all that we want to change. We can actually do them from that point. And this is something that we could look at as well. But for now, let's just click the escape key to escape out of this section for now. Now the next section, we are seeing the next section is working over to, when you are walking over to the right, would be here, that section of the conditional formatting, because the next section that we are going to be working on most of the time is that conditional formatting. This is the section we can try to take maybe a screenshot for that. we see the section. These are the sections that we are talking about that has that conditional formatting. We can paste it here. This is the conditional formatting that we are talking about. So that's one of the area that we are going to be looking at. So if we click in this, maybe you can try to delete this. If we click in this drop down arrow, you are seeing on that conditional format, there is that drop down arrow that we are seeing. We could highlight the cells. We could highlight the cells that are maybe that are greater than a certain number, for example, and we can perhaps say that we make them red, because you may be having figures within Excel, but you want to select values that are exceeding or that are less than a given number, that are more than a given number, and you change their font color. So that's what you can do. You can highlight some of the cells, because now you're seeing for highlighting cells, it may be greater than, less than, between, equal to. So those are the some of the things that we can actually do from that conditional formatting. We could also highlight cells that were less than a certain number, and we can also try maybe to make them blue. Whatever makes sense for the analysis that you are doing. So for that, highlighting is something that you can actually look at. So the next area worth highlighting would be over here, which is styles. Can maybe try to click the escape key to get out these styles, cell styles. If you want maybe to move over these different options, can try to click the so we are saying that we can actually see that style. So if you try maybe to move around within these different styles that you are seeing with your mouse, you can actually see that those cells keep on changing. The cell that we have clicked in, you are seeing it is changing. Hope you can be able to see that whenever we move around these different styles that we are seeing here, we see that the respective cell keep on changing to that same color. So that's one of the thing that we can look at in that note. So these are pre-programmed, and you can access this as well. So next up here is the particular section where it says cells. So these are you are seeing the different cells that are keep on changing. So we can actually click the escape key to back out from that. So the next thing is this section that says cells. We can maybe try to look at the print review of that section. It starts from this point. That is the cells section that we are talking about. That is the cells section. So this is where we want to use this option to insert. For example, we could insert a sheet row. Maybe you can first delete this. This is where we want to insert a sheet row, just like the way you have seen. It has inserted another row. So we can undo that. This is where we can go to actually insert different cells. So if you try to insert a cell there, you'll find it will be asking you the different where you want it to be, and you can actually be able to add that. So we can also try to insert a column, just like the way you are seeing we've inserted a column. Can undo that, and you see it is taking us back. So just the way we have seen, that's where we are going to actually see where we want to maybe insert some of the things and see what we can do from that perspective. So we can also insert, we can also delete, a cell, we can also delete a row, just like the way we inserted some of the things is the same way we can actually delete some of those things. So that cell section, that's what it does. So the other section that is worth highlighting over here is the editing section. Can maybe click the escape key to back out from that. The escape section, maybe we try to take a print screen of this section that we are talking about, that is right up here. That is the editing section. We can paste it here. That is the section that we are talking about. This section is also worth highlighting or looking it through. And this section in particular, we have the ability to find and select. So if we click here, we could actually find and replace certain things. Let's first delete this. If we click from this point, we can actually find that we can find and replace certain things. For example, we can come here to this cell and we say we want to find, for example, we could find that CPA, that you are seeing, the one I put the cursor into. We could find that CPA and we try to replace that with maybe another word. So you could come here and say we are finding and we want to replace. We are finding what? We are finding CPA and we are replacing that CPA with the KC Accountancy Education Center. We find and we replace. You can actually see it has done what we wanted. Here we had the KC, we had the CPA, now we've changed it to KC Accountancy Education Center. So that's one of the things that we can be able to do. We can find, we can replace, we can also try to select some of the items within our file. So those are some of the things that we can do from there. For example, just like the way we've seen, we replaced the CPA with KC Accountants Education Center, and the computer would go through and see that it has looked for that letter, for that word that we are changing, and it makes that one replacement. So that's what we've done from that section. So we have just done a quick tour of this home section of the ribbon. So let's skip over to the next lesson and start to tour through some of these other sections that are really helpful for financial analysis. Let's see you in the next video, and we'll try to look at some of these different sections that we've not talked about, the different sections of the ribbon. The next thing that we are going to be looking at is the insert section. This insert section is now the one that we are going to look at, but that is going to be in the next video. So we'll see you there.